to another episode of the Mostly Movies podcast with Nick and Christian. He's Nick, I'm Christian, coming to you live back from the Airbnb at the undisclosed location. And today the movie we're mostly discussing is The Gentleman, starring Matthew McConaughey, Jeremy Strong, and Charlie Hunnam. Actually also has Colin Farrell and Hugh Grant as well, but smaller roles. And it's directed by Guy Ritchie, who's well documented on the program, one of my favorite directors. But before we get into all that, I think this might be a contentious episode, actually. I'm kind of scared, honestly, about how this is going to go. But before we get into all that, as always, head over to thescreengods.com for all of Nick's movie reviews and our full library of podcast episodes. Guys, you can find it all at thescreengods.com. And of course, you can always find us on YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, IG, and X, the Everything app, for more clips, reels, and other fun content.
When we do get sponsored someday, you're going to be doing ad reads like a pro. Like, you've got this absolutely dialed in. What he doesn't have dialed in is how to hold his computer together. I think we're filming a new episode. We're filming a new episode of the Blair Witch Project, dude. Like, it's shaking the entire time.
I was cracking my toe.
Wow, that's it? You're cracking your toe? Wow.
Sorry about that.
Anyway, the ad read was brilliant.
We'll get that. We'll get it corrected. Anyways.
On X, the Everything app, that's all happening over at X, at the Screen Gods.
You're the media now. So we have a limited amount of time because you're going to fall asleep at the desk.
I did it. He's making fun of me because I had to take a cup of Benadryl. And if you guys are like me, Benadryl puts you to bed. But I rallied. I got up. We're here. So I'm ready to entertain.
Those little pink bombers are nothing to mess around with.
No, they're not. I've seen it take a grown man and make him disappear in a camping trip and just never return. So that's how magical those little pink Benadryl pills are.
Are you referring
shout out to Levi Williams out of East Tennessee. We went on a camping trip, man camp as it was called back then, which sounds like super gay when I say it out loud. Man camp
sounds very gay.
It's basically just, it's like a no wives kind of camping thing.
That's pretty gay.
Yeah, it's up there. But anyway, so there were no shenanigans at this camp, but there was this is years and years ago, it was a lot in our youth, and there was a lot of drinking, and so we're all having a great time. And at one point, one of the guys who was on the trip goes, "Hey, has anyone seen Levi?" And I said, my mic is falling as we do this. This is great. This is real professional here. I said, "Well, I know he went to take a Benadryl," and then one of the guys was like, "Yeah, that was like half an hour ago." But, we're all drinking and stuff. So we're not really paying attention. So I go, I'll go check out. And this is tent camping. I go and I unzip the tent camp, dude. And this guy is face deep into his sleeping bag, drooling. And he took a couple of Benadryl and never came back. Just disappeared.
Dude, you welcome
so
back.
Funny. It was.
Especially if you got any of the poison in you.
Oh, my God. It's so wild.
Crazy comment. I mean, I've been there plenty of times, I could say.
Yeah, but it is legitimately, shout out to Benadryl, official sponsor of the Mostly Movies podcast. Just kidding. It is legitimately the only allergy med that if you have histamine already in your system, that it will cure you. Everything else out there is an antihistamine, but only works if it's preventative and you take it beforehand. It's a histamine blocker. It does nothing for you once it's in your system. So shout out to Benadryl.
It'll go in there and eliminate the histamine is what you're saying.
That's right. AKA the pink bomber. You're nuking the histamine. Yeah, it's fantastic. All right, dude. So you said The Gentleman. So we should get into this real quick.
Let's go over our text thread because this is a movie I've been telling you to watch for a long time now. So it came out, I think, 2017.
I think 2018. Yeah, I think 2018.
2019.
All right.
But to be fair, I didn't see it till probably COVID or something. Oh yeah, actually I think it was during COVID. So you had some free time the other night and you're like, I'm going to pop this on. And I said, great, have a great time. Can't wait to hear back. And then you said something very
ominous.
Ambiguous is what I was going to say.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Ambiguous is probably better.
Okay. Yeah. I said, you said, so I'll be starting that. And you said also, because you gave me 3 movie options. And then you also said, well, The Gentleman's free. So I'm going to start watching that one, which is funny. You have $4, bro, or however much the other ones cost.
That's how they get you. Add up. No, I mean, Christian has always been telling me off and on over the years, and we do this to each other, where we'll drop a bomb and be like, "Hey, you haven't seen this. You have to see this. You have to watch it." Christian more so than me, and so he's giving me several. So when I had that free time, the wife was on her own time. She had a date that did not include me, which was fine, which is great.
Whoa.
But so I to take advantage, I was like, oh, let me pop in a movie that Christian's been, telling me about. And then I went to recall which movie that was. And I go, I can't remember because Christian has, mentioned many movies that I need to see. And so I really wanted to go through John Wick, but it was $4 and the gentleman wasn't. So I've actually seen two movies that I have one for you that maybe you need to see. We'll talk about that at the end. But anyway, all right, keep going. Do you want me
anyways, I said, well, hold on. So you said, I'm going to start that in a moment. I said, hell yeah, dude, it's a banger. And then very shortly after, 22 minutes later, to be precise, you text blah ha 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 with a J at the end, which means you were uncontrollably texting and laughing so hard. And then you said, can't wait to talk to you about this already. So I'm not sure. I can't wait to find out what in the first 22 minutes justified that text. But why don't you go ahead and give them the background, give them some plot details,
absolutely,
give them some context.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So basically, there is it centers around the protagonist. I guess we'll call him the protagonist. I'll touch on why that may not be the right term. But Mickey Pearson is the main character, and that is played by Matthew McConaughey. And essentially, I'm just going to read this right off of Google because it does a bang-up job of keeping things concise. He's an American expatriate who became rich by building a highly profitable marijuana empire in London. Then word gets out that he's looking to cash out of the business, and it triggers an array of plots and schemes, including bribery and blackmail from shady characters who want to steal his domain. That's the Reader's Digest version. A little more detail is basically it's a narrative type of film, which was a fresh take. I mean, yes, those have been done before, but I haven't seen one in a while, so I loved that. And Hugh Grant actually is the narrator and one of the main characters. Even though Christian said he has a smaller role, he kind of does, but he's also like the main guy. He's like the main voice you hear through the entire movie. True. And he's also in it as well.
True.
But anyway, so but basically, yeah, I'll give it a little more detail. McConaughey, he's an American who decided to go to school. Somehow he went to school in London, and he discovered there was a market for weed. And this is obviously years back, is before weed is legal in Europe, which I don't even know or in England, which I don't even know if it still is today. I don't even know if it's legal today.
I'm not sure either. It's a good question.
But he built a humongous empire, and
Well, he went to school for horticulture as well.
Yeah.
And ended up dropping out though to sell weed.
Right. So he basically is like, there's a market for this, and he's just a savvy American, and so he decides to take advantage of that, and he just builds himself up. You don't need more detail than that on his character because they don't give you a whole lot more detail than that, and it's not that necessary. And what the plot really is there is a guy who wants to buy. There's a criminal, we'll call him. I don't know what else to call him, a business criminal.
Rhymes with Zooish.
Sure, yeah, he is. They go out of their way to say he's a Jewish business criminal, and he's trying to buy this business from Mickey Pearson because Mickey Pearson's trying to get out. And so, but a bunch of things are happening, which is to Mickey Pearson's business that are making it difficult for him to sell. And that's all I'll say because it's a good movie. And so Christian's contention is probably so.
I'm glad to hear you say that.
Yeah, no, I actually liked it a lot.
Okay.
It was Christian you've rarely given me a bad referral. And if you have, I couldn't even really tell you what that is. Now, we weren't doing these pods back then over the years, so I can't wait till you do tell me one and I'm going to be like, that was hot garbage. I think the main one that comes to mind is Pineapple Express, but that has no interest to me because if you've not spent a lot of time being high, or even if you aren't high while you watch that movie, it's dumb. And it's still dumb to this day. The same way the movie Friday is dumb. When you can't, yeah, that's a hot take, but it's not hot when you think about that. It goes nowhere. It sits on a patio the entire movie. It's the dumbest movie. We can do that whole segment later.
It's about standing up to your bullies.
Sure it is. Yeah. Okay. We should do a whole take on that. Actually, a whole segment on that later. Actually, I'll make a note of that. Movies that are overrated.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So the blah ha ha ha, the laughing. First of all, let me say this about texting before we get too deep in. The iPhone company, the people that make the iPhone, I think it's they need to get it together because it is way too easy to add any letter in any text. I mean, it is constantly throwing letters in on my text all the time. It's driving me crazy. I can't just type a clean word anymore. It's either changing my words to something that makes no sense, or then for a thing like blah ha ha ha, it decides to just put in whatever and never autocorrect it because it doesn't know what I'm trying to say, which is fair, but then it's not helping because there should be no J in a ha ha ha. But anyway.
Well, you were laughing so hard I thought you were Mexican. Started typing in Spanish. I don't know what that is a reference to, but
I don't either.
Just because in Spanish it's J-A-J-A-J-A. So
yeah.
When they type ha ha ha, which is funny.
That's funny.
Anyway,
all right. So why I sent that is Christian and I did an episode a couple months ago when a horrendous movie made the theaters called Flight Risk. And me and Christian wore a couple of ball caps and then tore that movie to shreds. But one of the things that we said in that movie was, one of the things we crushed that movie for was the lead actress was just terrible in that movie. It was terrible casting. And she wasn't likable, and it was all the same. And I remember in that episode going, I have never seen this girl before. And you were like, yeah, me neither. I don't know who this person is.
Well, to be fair,
the
writing was awful, too.
It was.
In her defense.
No, it was. To what we basically said was put any other actress in there, and this is immediately more credible. And I still stand by that. Because you and I had no idea who this person was. It is literally, her name is Michelle Dockery, and she is literally Matthew McConaughey's wife in this movie. That is the same actress. So damn. She's a Brit, and she is, and again, her name is Michelle Dockery. She was much better in this movie as an actress. Sure.
It's night and day. I didn't even catch that.
I know. That's why I started laughing, because I was like, I'm 20 minutes into this thing, and I'm like, this girl pops up, and I'm like, that is so funny, because none of us know who this person was, especially you, who's already seen this movie. You couldn't even place her.
Fucking great in this movie.
Yeah, she doesn't have like major screen time, but the screen time she does have was pretty good.
Yeah. That's hilarious. I thought it was going to be something very negative.
No.
And then I was gonna have to snap at you, and I didn't want to do that.
No. So I don't have anything negative to say about this movie, really. It's really it's fun. It's got a couple of twists to it. Casting is awesome in this movie. So there's Hugh Grant, like we talked about. Colin Farrell is great. McConaughey is always good, obviously, but he kind of does the same thing and everything. I'm starting to notice that about him. Except for his Academy Award movies, which rightfully so. But
this is like the epitome of a Matthew McConaughey role, where they're just like, come in, just be yourself. Don't do anything different at all. Matter of fact, if you do, we're telling you not to. Do not improvise. Just be yourself. Totally. But now you're wearing a cool Kangol hat. You know,
the Newsies hat, or
the
flat
classic
brim.
Newsies. Yes.
Yeah,
and
which I love that. Yeah, which I totally love. It was great.
Everybody looked great in this movie.
But who I really liked in this movie, and Jeremy Strong, who plays the other American Jewish businessman, as they keep saying, was good too. But who I really liked was Charlie Hunnam, who was the McConaughey's right-hand man. And I couldn't even tell you what other movies he's in. So,
well, he's mostly known for Sons of Anarchy.
That's exactly the look he has, for sure. So I'm sharing my screen now. Can you see? Yeah, you can see the screen now. Awesome. This is Charlie Hunnam. This is what he looks like. This looks a little less like him, but this is what he looks like more in the movie. But yeah, so he's done some things, but it does, like you said, it does look like
he starred in another Guy Ritchie movie. I think King Arthur, right there. Is that it? If you go back,
yeah, that's King Arthur.
Yes, that's another Guy Ritchie film. I didn't see that one, though.
No.
I don't really care for the medieval stuff too much.
Triple Frontier, he was in that he was in that, yeah. I wanted to see, he looks like that he might have been the guy that was in, I thought he might be the guy that was in The Greatest Showman, but now that I'm looking, I don't see him.
I wouldn't know because I'll never see it.
That movie was actually pretty good overall.
I know,
we're not big music. We're not big musical people, so for me, that's why that might be one that I'd be like, it would be worth your time seeing just overall. But anyway. All right. So anyway, he was really good in this, but the key thing I was trying to get at here was that I really enjoyed it. It reminded me a little bit of a Coen Brothers kind of vibe. a little bit because of the whole things keep going wrong thing, and everything is, if you've never seen a Coen Brothers movie, we've talked about this on other podcast episodes, but basically it's the type of thing where everything's interconnected from things that are seemingly unrelated, but they all end up impacting each other. And that's a little bit of what this movie does, which Guy Ritchie, I couldn't place. I can only name one other movie, Guy Ritchie, and that's because I just saw it a couple of years ago, and now I can't even remember the name of it, but it was the movie with Jake Gyllenhaal about he was a soldier.
The Covenant. And that was actually really good. Outside of that, I couldn't name a single Guy Ritchie movie. So can you enlighten me on some of his other works? Because I think you're a pretty big fan. His like first, bangers were Snatch and then Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, which are both kind of similar to this movie in the same vibe, I believe. I haven't seen either of them in a long time.
Okay.
But those were like his two early hits. That was 2000 and 1998. But then he also did the Sherlock Holmes series with Robert Downey Jr.
Okay.
He did Wrath of Man with Jason Statham a couple years back. That was really good.
Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing his thing now. I can't say that I've seen Wrath of Man. I think I have seen it, but
I think you have too.
If it's not coming to mind, so if it was
great,
on
it was on Netflix for a while, so you might have popped it on.
Maybe if I haven't, it might be because I saw a not great, and there's plenty of not great Jason Statham movies, but there was one that was similar.
You shush your mouth.
Oh well, we're gonna talk about the next one because it's coming out, and the wife wants to see it.
And then the one that I was stumped on when we were talking about Aladdin.
Yes,
he did Aladdin.
That's what I was just gonna say. That would be the one that I've seen, and it would be like, yeah, you need to see that because Christian hasn't seen that yet. But yeah, I've seen Sherlock Holmes. I really liked the Sherlock Holmes. I don't know if I watched the sequel, but I saw the original. That was good. I've never seen Snatch, which I know people will get on me about that. Never seen that. But anyway, all right. So yeah, I liked it a lot. It was what I kept thinking, and I'll let you talk for finally, is this is great. It's the perfect type of movie for Nick and Christian. We love these type of movies. You have to pay attention. You can't be doing two things while you watch this movie. You'll be totally lost, and it will not resonate nearly as much. But I enjoyed Hugh Grant's performance so much. He's hilarious. Accent was different, which was weird. He's always has the same Hugh Grant accent, but he had a different Hugh Grant accent, which I thought was interesting.
Maybe from like a different region.
Yeah, like it was subtle, but it was different.
It was definitely, I guess, thicker. I guess I don't know. I know there's different. I know there's like a Cockney accent, which is more like Peaky Blinders.
Yeah,
there's like no, he was hilarious. I love how in every British movie someone has to wear stylized tinted glasses. Hence my name.
Yeah.
Even if you've seen the trailer for Black Bag, literally every character in the trailer is wearing some sort of colored tinted glasses, which is hilarious. But yeah, no, I like the opening scene in the misdirection from the very beginning. I thought it was really good, was really cool. And then yeah, just the narration style, how they filmed it, and it was filmed fast paced enough to where it kept you engaged the whole time. So it's one of those movies where you can't look away, but you don't want to look away either, because there's not a wasted minute,
No,
I don't think, or any wasted scenes, honestly. And I never felt myself getting bored. I mean, I've seen the movie like 4 times now because I watched it today.
Did you? Oh, did you prepare? Nice.
Yeah, I watched it today before the cast. So, and it's one of those I can rewatch, and it doesn't get old to me. And Colin Farrell's character is fucking hilarious too. I love when he shows up in those supporting roles. He's almost better, like in Horrible Bosses and stuff like that when he's playing just these quirky ass characters. He's he's fucking amazing. And he's also great as a leading man, but. Yeah, it's always fun when he just pops up. It's always going to be good.
Yeah, his character was really funny. I mean, there was so many things to like about it. By the way, you were spot on about the accent. It is literally a very strong Cockney accent.
Yeah.
And
but his whole character of like trying, because he runs a boxing gym. He's a coach for a local, Colin Farrell I'm talking about.
Colin Farrell,
is a coach for a local boxing gym for like troubled youth, and his students or athletes, whatever, get caught up in this because they end up stealing some of Matthew McConaughey's product. And so it's about Colin Farrell trying to be a good example and try and teach them to be morally right, but then also having to pay back this debt and do some, pretty gangster shit.
So
and so the
funny.
whole time he's just like he's just going back and forth. It kind of reminded me of John Malkovich a little bit, where he's just like screaming randomly. But yeah, no, I love it. And then the show, which I know you're not a big TV show guy, I don't think, but they turned it into a show on Netflix, which is also really, really well done as well. So I would highly recommend to check that out.
Interesting. Yeah.
But it's a little bit, I mean, obviously slower because they got to draw it out over 8 episodes. But
right, which that would be interesting. That would be interesting to see if I could hang in there for
but
that.
they connected to the movie pretty well, which is always cool.
Sure,
Subtly, you know.
I didn't want to watch the Lincoln Lawyer series for that reason, because the original is such a good Matthew McConaughey classic. But they turned that into and that's a pretty good one too. But it's not that I think that they're bad or good or whatever. I just hate committing to things like that. You know, when it's like, I already know what this is about. And yes, in theory, you can make anything into a show, I feel like, if you want to. But then it's like, then why make the movie? So that's really where my disdain for shows comes in. But apparently Hugh Grant decided, because he's 59 years old now, and apparently in an interview he did, or this is coming from an article from Reuters.com, or Reuters, can I remember that? REUTERS.com. He said, I'm 59 now. Is it too ludicrous to suddenly be this guy completely from the other side of the tracks with a full-on London accent? And apparently Guy Ritchie said, no, you can do it. Do it, just own it. And so he went hard with it. So I'm glad that I wasn't totally off base there, because as soon as it started, I was like, this doesn't sound like Hugh Grant. Yeah. But it's also but it is Hugh Grant,
because he has more of that like proper
right. It's like a formal Brit.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Well, I don't know what that's called, but
I don't either.
Just English. I think it's just English.
I think the term is posh. It's more posh.
I don't know.
I think that's right.
That's fancy. That's high-end fancy, but I don't think he uses that for language. What accent does Hugh Grant have normally? Let's see what I mean, AI just gives you everything you need nowadays.
Show me posh. Show me posh.
Show me posh. Hugh Grant does use his upper class English. I mean, you're close. Upper class Englishness. Yeah, that's pretty posh. Anyway.
That's funny. So what, like, how much money you have decides what your accent is?
Well, I mean, I guess if you think about it, do rich people who are born into money act different and talk different? Yeah, they do.
That's very true.
Now, if you discover the money later, you can't change your stripes. But if you grow up in money in that environment, yeah, it's different. Yeah, for sure.
100%.
Anyway, I loved it. So it was a great recommendation. I highly recommend everyone go watch that. It is free, as I mentioned at the top. So I think it was on Netflix but yeah, I liked it a lot. I'm trying to think. It's not a knock, but what I would say is it's not for everybody. It's perfect for you and I who like a movie that's keeping me engaged and making me think at least a little bit, so I'm not bored. There's several things happening, and you got to kind of stay in tune with it. But
it's not that hard to follow, you know.
It isn't.
It's pretty dumbed down.
I guess,
but there are a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of moving parts.
It's not. You have to pay attention, because I think the accents are part of why you need to pay attention. You need to, because you got to listen. And I mean, if you watch it with subtitles, it'll help, because you can kind of. There's times where you may not understand what they're saying,
especially Colin Farrell.
Right, and that was going to be my example. Is like some of the things you're like, what did he say? What is he doing? What? But there are certain people who, again, I'm just calling out my wife or my daughter, people who have their phone out during a movie. Like, you're going to miss a lot. Like, you can't do that. So that would be the only thing. But that's true of like most movies, I think. But the accent, I think, and just the general, like, because Hugh Grant is telling the story, and it's one of those movies where he's narrating it, and they're showing the past. So it's flashing to the past and back forward, and then to the past and then back forward, and to the past and back forward.
Yeah,
because it's telling a story, basically.
The other cool thing was the way he's telling the story is like he's doing an elevator pitch for a movie.
Yeah,
which added to the entertainment factor, or the action factor. So it was unique in that regard. He's not just explaining what happened. He's explaining it in a way like he's selling a movie, which he also wrote a script. He's such an arrogant asshole. He's basically, like Nick said, he's trying to blackmail Michael McConaughey. Mickey Pearson. Sorry. And so he's demanding $20 million, but then he also like wrote a script, and he's like, we could also go in on that and be business which honestly is pretty smart, because I mean, obviously it was a movie, but Yeah, I just thought that was cool.
Yeah, it was one of those. But again, it's funny, and so for people like you and me, it's like we love that because it adds a little extra something. But for other people, to be like, is he selling a movie? Is he not selling a movie? It's like a lot. There's a lot happening, but it was very creative. Yeah, man, it was a solid choice.
I like the fight scene when the kids are trying to rob the place, and there's just those huge burly old Brits there, and they're just coming out one by one.
Yeah.
They think it's just one guy at first, and then he's just like, "Yo, Frank, get out here." Then Frank comes out and he goes, "Hey, yo, Mo, get out here." And they just one by one come out. Evidently, ended up losing, which I was surprised about. I thought my money would have been on the old burly Brits.
Yeah, which again, that's a lot of what this movie does. There's a lot of misdirection. They make you think one thing. I mean, honestly, you could define the movie itself, I think, as a maybe masterclass is an exaggeration, but it is very well done. The whole like misdirection thing.
Yeah, and the way
many times.
And yeah, there's a lot of twists, which we love. But yeah, the way they release the information is, slowly and well paced out. And
yeah, it was unique, like you said.
Okay, I was going to say something else, but yeah.
Anyway,
anytime Guy Ritchie's, I think he's working on something right now too, which I'm pretty excited about. But I gotta find it. Also, back when I was driving for Uber and Lyft, he was on the old Joe Rogan podcast.
The old Joe Rogan.
And I was like, oh, that's cool. Let me turn that on. The guy, I shit you not, talked about 3-piece suits for 3 hours, 3.5 hours. He talked about the importance of suits in general and just got into the whole discussion was just about suits and their importance to, I guess, British culture. And
well, that makes sense to British culture. Yeah.
But it was also just like, hey, dude, it is not that fucking serious. Like, you don't have to wear a 3-piece suit all the time, every single day.
I think anytime you're on a Joe Rogan podcast, it's a requirement that it's 3 hours. So
yeah, I think
that may have more to do with this podcast than the actual Guy Ritchie being the problem.
Well, let me tell you, it was a real snooze fest.
That's a real snoozer.
I don't even think they talked about his movies.
Yeah,
but anyways,
wild.
So if you're having trouble sleeping, unlike Nick tonight because he dropped those pink bombers, go ahead and pop on that Guy Ritchie, Joe Rogan, and you'll be asleep in no time.
That's so funny.
Let me find this. In the Gray. Is that what it is?
It looks like he uses Hugh Grant and a few other things as well.
Yeah, he's got his guys. I mean, Colin Farrell for sure.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt, I think he's used a couple times. He was in Snatch. He plays a gypsy in Snatch, and if honestly for Brad Pitt alone, it's worth watching because his fucking accent is hilarious.
Is it bad or is it intentionally bad?
No,
it's just
it's just if you know what a gypsy sounds like, it's just not. And he doesn't sound like himself at all. It's really fun.
I don't know I can tell you right now. I don't know what a male gypsy sounds like. I couldn't tell you. I know what a female gypsy sounds like, but in my head,
and I mean this, and I don't mean any disrespect here, but I think it's in the realm of leprechaun-ish.
Okay.
So think leprechaun-ish.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's offensive to gypsies, so I apologize if you're out there, but
wow.
Yeah.
This podcast is taking a weird turn when you're apologizing in advance.
Well, I've also heard they're not a very well-liked people. So I don't know. Listen, this is America.
Did you just describe leprechauns as real people?
No, gypsies.
Oh. Wow, I totally lost where we were on that. But I was like, you're not offending leprechauns. They're not real.
Leprechauns might be based off gypsies. Listen, I don't know the lore.
Scottish, right?
This is
Irish. No, they're Irish. This is how stupid we are. We don't know anything about European culture.
I don't interfere with dealings across the pond. Okay.
Across the pond. All right. Well, yeah, I can't see the movie he's working on, but
yeah, it's called In the Gray. Jake Gyllenhaal and Henry Cavill.
Yeah. Okay. Isa Gonzalez. I don't know who that is.
I'm really there. But I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal.
But that does look interesting.
That'll be the second time he's used old JG.
Yeah, and also what I was going to say, it's interesting. I'm noticing it feels like he's, and is Snatch an American-based plot?
No,
it is not. Is it British as well?
Yeah, hence the gypsy.
So it feels like Guy Ritchie, and I'm just.
Well, he's British, you know that.
No, I know. What I was going
okay.
to say is I'm reading the leaves here of what I'm seeing. It seems like his niche is he's working with American actors in a lot of cases and putting them in American-based or British-based scenarios where he's cross-pollinating. Because if you look at
He's dating outside
this
his
movie,
race.
well, it seems like he's doing it intentionally, though, is my point. Like if you think about what's the movie he just did, we just talked about it, The Gentleman. It's a movie that takes entirely place in the UK, in England, but it's centered around an American protagonist.
Yeah, an expat.
Which is interesting. And then when I look at the plot coming up for In the Gray, it literally says it's an upcoming American action thriller, but in this American action thriller, he's got one American and one Brit, when Henry Cavill and Jake Gyllenhaal. So it seems like he may just do that. Like that's like his thing. Like I'm not sure what that's all about, but
I don't know. Maybe he just loves an American savior story.
Yeah, but why would be the question.
Yeah,
well, think about this too. Think about Sherlock Holmes, 100% American or 100% American icon, Iron Man. He drops him in as the preeminent, other than James Bond. It's Sherlock Holmes is number 2 in British lore of heroes, and he cast an American.
We also had he also had Jude Law in that movie, which is a British enough for the both of them, I think. Also,
maybe, but he had him in second in command.
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert
Downey Jr. to me is like the most British you could get without being British.
Or not Holmes. I meant Watson.
Yeah, I almost feel like Robert Downey Jr. is British. I don't know why. He's British. He could pass as British, I think, if you just looked at him. I go, yeah, he could.
Well, he's definitely snarky enough, for sure, as the Iron Man character, for sure. But anyway, all right, so go watch that, you guys. It's good. I enjoyed it a lot, but you just need to pay. You just don't have your phone out. And it's not confusing as long as you're watching it, but just don't do that. Watch it with intent. All right, you had a segment you wanted to do.
Yes.
Do you remember what it was called?
Oh, I sure do, bud. So I was just thinking. I was just thinking about movies that I did not get to see in theaters that, if I could, I would want to go back and see in theaters. And that was the topic that I proposed to you. And you said, yeah, I think that's pretty solid. So give me
because I have mine. That was an easy one for me. I have
You just have one, or you have a couple?
I'm sure I can come up with more, but there was one that came out to me right away.
All right, hit me.
Quiet Place.
Really?
Yes, because
number one. All right,
it's the first one that came to my mind because it was relatively fresh in my brain. Because if you've seen The Quiet Place, which I'm sure most of you have, there's no sound for the first like 5 to 8 minutes at all, and you have no idea if you think the theater's broken because the way they film it. Because especially if you don't know the plot. I mean, looking back on it now that you know the plot, of course you wouldn't think that. But before, this is my whole point, when the movie had just come out and no one knew about what it was, you're sitting there staring at it like, what's happening here? Like, you'd think the sound's broken on the movie. You have no idea.
Isn't there like background noise though, like wind and leaves rustling?
No, not in the first 8 minutes. That's my point.
Or that toy car.
So there's the first sound that happens is the toy car, but that doesn't even happen until they're actually out of the store and they're walking.
How did you not see that in theaters? That's my question. That's crazy. What were you doing?
I don't know.
You're too busy golfing.
No, not back then. I don't know.
All right.
But that's one but that movie, I mean, it's one of my favorites overall. I mean, it's not like in the top 15 of all my movies, of course, but I do really like it. I thought it was super creative, and I still think it was super creative, and it was really well done. And so.
Well, I could tell you that movie was great in theaters. It was.
There you go.
Intense as shit.
Yeah.
And they are making another one too, because I saw the prequel and I was like, yeah.
I didn't care for it.
I didn't care for it.
The second one they did,
it wasn't horrible,
2 was a good effort for sure. Cillian Murphy in that one. But yeah, the prequel, I was not interested in.
I forget how the second one even ended. But yeah, even that one, I was like, yeah. It was hard to ratchet up the intensity from the first one. Obviously, you're just not going to be, especially that scene at the end where she's giving birth in the. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the climax of that movie was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what's your pick?
Well, I had a few. Obviously, Alien is up there. I think that was so ahead of its time. I think being in that movie theater would would probably be really fun. And then Blair Witch, that was another one.
Okay.
Because that one was literally fucking with people for a long time.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick.
I mean, I would have loved to been in that movie theater with a few black folks, few black friends.
Okay.
Probably would have been hilarious.
What people don't understand about that movie, especially if some younger people watching,
were probably screaming in the movie theater.
Well, back then, if you're a younger listener of ours, like the internet was barely out when that movie came out. Barely. Like I'm talking dial up. And so what made that movie what it really was, the Blair Witch Project, was that it came with this like I'm going to call it not superstition, but like there was a lore around it that it was real because they filmed it so they sold the movie as like this really happened. But they didn't really sell it that way, but it picked up this
cult
following of, oh my God, this is real. And you could go back then, you could go to a website or what looked to be a legit website. Cause back then you were like, oh my God, it has a website. It must be real, because back then the internet was barely around. And so I remember doing that. I remember going to the website and being totally bought in, like this really happened. And so it added to the fear factor of the movie. So
yeah, well, and that was the first movie ever done that way too, with the found footage. And I did see the first Paranormal Activity in theater, and that was probably a similar experience. But by then, obviously, everybody knew at the end of the day it was fake. Where Blair Witch, it was like people were legitimately tricked.
Exactly,
like
they were totally tricked. Which is why I didn't go ever. Which is why I never went to see Paranormal Activity. I actually remember you being like 14 and being like, I'm freaking out, man. Like in the daytime, like you were really disturbed by Paranormal Activity. And I remember looking at Christian, because I was already like 20 at this time, or 24 or something. And I looked at Christian like, dumb movie, you know? Yeah, I was like, what are you scared of? It's so fake, dudes. And you're like, oh no, man. Like you were really wigging out. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, that one got to me for sure. And then a couple other ones, Jurassic Park,
which I got to see in theater, which I think maybe sparked in your head. You didn't.
Maybe I didn't. I don't. Well, if I
no, you wouldn't have, because I was only 11 myself. They wouldn't have taken you into that. It was pretty scary for like 4-year-olds. T-Rex was large and in charge of that. It was
very large. It was very real.
Yeah, it was very real.
And then I thought about probably Heat, because that action scene at the end in theaters was probably fucking sick. I think that might have been. Oh, and then another one that was funny. It was random. I heard my nephew, Landon, he was singing that Vanessa Carlton song from White Chicks.
Yeah.
And then it just, that scene struck me. And I was like, I don't know if he was singing it because of that or if he even knows what that scene is.
No, he doesn't know what that is at all.
No, I guess not. But anyways, It just popped in my head. And I was like, dude, I wish I could have saw that in theater just to see how hard people are. Because that scene is so fucking iconic. It like
Jamie, my wife, loves that movie.
It's a fucking hilarious movie, but I don't know if it holds up. Now, I haven't seen it in a long time, but
not really.
Yeah, but I was like, yeah, that scene in theaters was people were probably losing their shit. That probably would have been really funny too.
That's a good pick. Yeah, it was highly quotable, that movie, and I could see that. Because I mean, there's a lot of things about that movie that you memorize. It reminds me a lot of like Napoleon Dynamite, where it's like, I mean, not in terms of like, I mean, obviously they're very different, but the movie on its face is just absolutely dumb. Like White Chicks, they're like, oh, these huge 6'4" black guys are passing as white women is ludicrous on so many levels. But you don't care because the way that they film everything, there's all these memorable, like the scene with whatever, I always forget his name. I feel bad. The actor, the muscles guy, the muscle with the whistle, who's dancing. He's the same guy who's singing. Terry Crews. He's the guy singing. Yeah.
Yeah.
The scene with him where he's like, I think he's cracked out on something, and he's like, he's on ecstasy. He's blowing the whistle and dancing and doing that whole scene. Like, you don't need any context for that scene to be funny at all. Yeah. Which is why it's funny, you know.
Dude, if you think that's great, have you heard of this movie called Little Man?
That's with the Wayans brothers, right?
Yeah.
Where he plays a toddler.
A baby.
There's no way that holds up. Holds up,
dude. I saw a clip from it the other day. It's fucking it's hilarious, dude. The way they superimposed Marlon Wayans' face on the baby, dude, so fucking funny.
Wow.
Yeah, they made some pretty outlandish shit, but it worked. It fucking worked.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's another movie that pops into my head that is like, okay, I can't believe I didn't see that, and probably maybe There's actually I have two. Now they just both came into my head at the same time. I feel like war movies, as a rule, are always great. You should see them in theater.
Yeah.
And so I would have really liked to see Saving
SVP.
Private Ryan in theater. That would have been a really good one. What a powerhouse cast that was. And then for different reasons, and it's not really a war movie, but it's a zombie war movie, I would have liked to see World War Z in theaters too. I think that would have been really, really cool to see.
That was tight. That was tight.
Just because of the action and just there. If you haven't seen, the hair on my back of my neck just stood up, which means I need to say this. There are some movies that are criminally underrated, and that is one of them. I don't understand why more people don't talk about that movie. It's one of my favorite movies. I can watch that again and again and again. World War Z. I really like it, like a lot. Like I don't understand why it doesn't get more love, because I thought it was really well done.
That's
a zombie movie.
One of those movies where if your tum-tum's not feeling well, if you're a little bit under the weather, and you pop that thing, you get a little soup in you, and you pop that thing on, dude. That is a good fucking time. Also a great hotel movie, and I like it because
I can see that
it's a mix between,
because it's not long enough. We need to add hour commercial breaks into it. Yeah,
actually,
at the hotel.
Fair point. That would be a 4.5 hour hotel movie. But
if you are recovering from like an all night bender and a hotel, then it's perfect.
Yeah,
you're not going anywhere.
But yeah, it's like a mix between Outbreak, which is another movie I love, and like a zombie movie.
Right.
So yeah, it's
but
awesome.
I just loved. There's the scenes in again, watch World War Z too. Watch all these movies we're telling you to watch, because maybe don't watch Little Man unless you just want to laugh at it. But yeah, like that one, there's a scene which is what made me think of it. The climax scene of World War Z would have been awesome to see in theaters. And I think the other reason why it sticks out to me is because my dad, R.I.P., it was one of the last movies I think I saw with him while he was alive that we watched it together at home. And I remember, and my dad was a very quiet man. He didn't have a whole lot to say about anything. So when he would say something, it would get my attention. I'm like, oh, he's into this thing, dude. He was really into it. So
yeah, I guess it is kind of exactly like I Am Legend. Now that I think about it,
but I just think it's better.
Well, I mean, it's completely different because it's not an isolation movie or
well, you're not. It's not post-apocalyptic. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Pre-apocalyptic.
It's pre-apocalyptic. Right.
Yeah. No, Brad Pitt fucking rocks. Dude, Brad Pitt just fucking rocks. Dude.
We already did a whole episode on your love affair for Brad Pitt among 6 other men that you have crushes on,
and we're gonna do 6 more episodes on it because the filmography.
He's unbelievable, huh?
It's out of this world, dude. Crazy.
Well, his filmography, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Bradley Pitt.
When you get in with the right directors, he's certainly carved out a role, Brad Pitt, that I didn't expect him to. Like, and I think he did something right somewhere along the way, where, because he has a very, what am I trying to say? He has a look about him where he really shouldn't be a chameleon, and he really isn't a chameleon. You were making this point about his looks the other day. Doesn't matter how his hair looks, he's still handsome, and that's true. But also, it doesn't matter how his hair looks, he still looks like Brad Pitt in everything. Doesn't matter what he's doing. There's no effort. I mean, not effort. There is no need for him to do anything other than just show up, and hair and makeup will be like, all right, we're going to do this to you, and then just go be Brad Pitt again.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty incredible. What a world. Except Benjamin Button. I never saw that one. I don't want to see it. I don't think I'll ever see it.
Really? Yeah. I've never seen it either.
Doesn't do anything for me, I don't think.
This is where he ages backwards, right?
Yeah. Which the concept in and of itself, I can't really wrap my brain around it.
Maybe that's why. Maybe you're just afraid of what it's going to do to you.
So, because he doesn't start as an old man. Does he start as an old baby? Is that how it works?
I think he starts as an old man.
So is it a Mary and Joseph situation?
I think we need to watch it because we don't know. We don't know.
I think he starts as an old baby and then grows up into a young man.
That sounds super weird. Super weird. I don't think he's starting as an old baby, dude. I don't think so.
He's doing the crossword puzzle and shit.
Actually, hold on, dude. Hold on. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. I don't know. It does look like he might be an old baby. Hold on.
I think he's an old baby, dude.
No, you're totally right. He is an old baby. Yeah. I mean, it's so bizarre that we might have to see it. Like, we might have to, that might be a good one since you and I have never seen, neither one of us has seen it. We should watch that. That'd be cool. All right. Any more movies that you wish you would have seen in theater?
No, those are the ones that I started thinking about White Chicks, and I was like, you know what, that would have been really funny. I was like,
so just to recap, your Jurassic Park, White Chicks, and what else was there?
I got Heat, Alien,
Heat,
The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing. That probably would have been pretty sick. You've probably never seen that. By
Is
the
that
look in
the
your
80s
face.
one?
Yeah. Kurt Russell.
Yeah, I actually have seen it, and I saw it because I call him my father-in-law, but Nathan, he was like hell-bent. You guys haven't seen the thing? You got to see the thing. Didn't love it.
Yeah, I mean,
Didn't love it. But I think it's because it doesn't for its time. I'm sure it was great, but it definitely the
there's some wild,
puppeteering,
there's
makeup,
some wild CGI in it. Some of the funniest CGI, honestly.
Yeah, and also I don't even know if that's what it
was called.
I don't think it was. This is just what the 80s were about. Is there's the whole phase of the 80s where they only had 2 keys and a keyboard, and that's all they used for all their suspense. And that's what that movie was. Like, it was just the same 2 chords on a keyboard for every suspense scene. I'm like, all right, dude, this is brutal. Like, get new music for this. It just didn't hold up.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever.
The Gentleman had a good score too. I didn't say that. It also had a really good score.
Yeah, it did have a good score, and they did it there wasn't any like memorable songs specifically because it wasn't that type of a movie, but the music was good for sure. They did a good job supporting the movie with that.
Yeah.
So it's what stinks this week, because I got something this week.
Go ahead.
You want me to lead? Okay. So went to a concert with my daughter last night in San Francisco. I have twin girls, and so I go to random concerts with them from time to time. And this particular concert went with just one of the twins, and is an artist named Jessica Bayo, who is a like an up and coming like YouTube kind of artist, but really good, a great songwriter. So it was fun, and we had a great time. But one of the opening act, and these are artists that barely anybody knows, right? So we're talking like there's 100 people max in this venue, that kind of show, which is my favorite type of show, because you're so close to the artist. And Ashlyn was, my daughter was 11, and she's like 5 feet from them and whatever, to the point where they come outside of the venue and say hi to you in the line, like they're that unknown. But Ashlyn was just like in heaven. It was pretty cool. But anyway, she had this opener, and his name is Jake Clark, and he's some Canadian kid. He's probably 21 or ish. Yeah, I know. Anyway, the Canadians, they pump out a lot of musicians. They can sing up there up north, probably because that's all they have to do. It's so cold up there. But anyway, so he comes out, and he good singer, whatever. And I won't get too more deep into the concert stuff, but I'm teeing it up because he comes out, and he is wearing the most hideous swag of a musician or anybody who's on stage ever. And this is what stinks. I've noticed this now because in the other concert I went to with my other daughter, we went to see a British musician, same kind of thing, same type of size venue and whatever. His name is Jamie Miller, and he's the headliner, and his swag was also hideous. And so what stinks this week is the stylings of current young, we'll call them, they're supposed to be the cool people. They're artists. Cool. They're supposed to be,
they're cool
like
as fuck, dude.
And I'm talking, when I say hideous, I'm talking I couldn't even call it a sweater or shirt. It's a top. It's a basic top shirt with these vertical stripes of hunter green, like maroon and tan. I'm talking like things that you would see back in the early 90s at like an outlet store. It was absolutely hideous. And he was wearing that with gray jeans, not fitted jeans, just gray, almost baggy, but not quite baggy, just loose fitting. Like if there was such a thing as mom jeans for men, that's what he was wearing. But they're gray and they don't match the top. And I lean over to my daughter and I go, that is the worst swag I have ever seen. And she's like, I like it.
Of course.
And so the two things that stink are actual stylings of artists right now, especially male. They're not even attempting to look good. So bring in Guy Ritchie, clean these guys up, because they don't know what they're doing out there. But the second thing that stinks is that the girls are buying into it. They're buying into the fact that the hideous is good.
I know. And I know, man.
Can't understand it. It's just terrible.
It's
guys.
over.
It's awful.
It's over for us. And if you, for reference, just look up any recent pictures of Justin Bieber, and you can get a really good glimpse into what Nick's talking about. Or
can you really? Is that true?
Oh, definitely. Or Will Smith's son too, Jaden Smith. Any photos of him, you can really get a glimpse into the picture that Nick's trying to paint.
Well, he's just wearing a castle on his head, so I don't even know.
Well, no, but there's another one. There's you got to find them, but there's a lot of the baggy. But the thing is, this was '90s swag, but it's
right.
but it's like futuristic these Fifth Element kind of swag.
Well, those
now.
ones are the stuff I'm talking about. This was not. It's just hideous, just just ugly is all
But
I can
it's
say.
definitely like everything's baggy now.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely coming back. Well, what's weird about it too is if I look at pictures of this guy on Google, which a lot of it, I was actually just happy he was wearing a shirt because in a lot of his videos, it's just a lot of tanks and sleeveless and shirtless videos and stuff. So I'm like, oh God, at least he's wearing clothes. But he's not really wearing the hideous swag in any of his pictures, which is why I was surprised by it. I was like, he looks like he's actually trying in most of his images on Google, but this fit he was wearing, I'm telling you, it's like I said, it's not that just the shirt in itself was ugly. It was absolutely hideous. But then you're combining it with gray pants, which gray doesn't match any of the color scheme he had going on or complement it in any way. It was just awful, dude. So that's what stinks this week.
Matching is definitely out right now. You don't have to match, which is kind of nice because you don't have to match. But you know what stinks though too is I'm at the point where I can't. I'm too old to start following the new trends. You know what I mean? I just have to stick with my style that I have for the rest of my life now.
Like you just have to be safe.
Like I can't come out the next time we got together and went to Chili's for a 3 for me, which I really need I really need a 3 for me soon. But
you're really mad that we did that without you.
The next time we head over to the Chili's and I showed up in jeans baggy enough to cover my shoes and a double XL t-shirt, I think people would not say that's swag. I think people would be worried about me at this point.
No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. That is funny you say that because there is a level of, and I've reached it too with absolute certainty where, I've reached it a long time ago. Obviously, I'm way older than you, but I was like, there's a certain area of where I'm comfortable, and it's a safe choice for clothing. And it's not out of style, but it's definitely not in style, but I'm very safe. And, so it is hoodies, 365. The only thing that changes is how heavy of a hoodie is it? Is it winter hoodie? Is it spring hoodie? Or is it, I have summer hoodies, bro.
Yeah, I was thinking about this too, because now I'm like, I'm basically Steve Jobs at this point where instead of the black turtleneck though, it's just t-shirt, sneakers, and jeans or shorts. But I was thinking about this. We need a store that just sells plain everything. So just plain t-shirts in every color, hopefully mostly variations of charcoal gray. I would really like maybe off black a little bit, but I just want rows and rows. Black? Yeah, kind of like, more like charcoal too. I guess just charcoal.
Yeah. Okay.
Or like, I guess like a washed out black or something. You know what I mean?
Faded. You want a faded black?
Yeah. So yeah. And I just want rows and rows of just basic plain t-shirts in basic colors. Nothing on them. No logos. Nothing. Just plain jeans. Plain nice fitting jeans. Regular socks.
You can get all of these on Amazon. You can get. No, it's not a store.
I want to go in. I can't. I hate buying clothes on the internet. I got to go in and. Otherwise it's just a fucking waste of time, and I hate sending shit back, especially via mail.
Yeah, no. Amazon makes it easy now to return stuff, but they don't need any more of our business or endorsements, so it's all good. Yeah, I'm with you. I would love to. I get what you're saying. My clothing of choice, and someday I hope to be sponsored by them because I think they make the best clothes in the world. I even got Christian. I think I got you the socks from them, if I'm not mistaken. Is 32 degrees. They can be found in Costco. They are the most affordable clothes, the most comfortable clothes you will ever put on, and they're high value return. They're great.
I think my next move, if I do have any moves left in my fashion journey, I think my next move is just activewear.
Right.
I think that's it. I think that's where I'm gonna head to. Just nice activewear.
Yep.
Some Lululemons.
That's pretty much what
maybe a couple nice activewear pants.
Well, you gotta be loaded to buy Lululemon.
All right, I'll do Fabletics. Fine.
Yeah, you can do that too. But that is what happens as you get older. I just want to be comfortable.
Yeah.
But I don't want to look stupid. And what does that leave you with? The activewear. That's exactly where it leaves you with.
Where does that leave you? It's called the plain clothes store. No, real quickly, and then we'll get out of here. What stinks this week is I finally mustered up the courage to try out a different location of the gym that I frequent.
We're not allowed to say what it is. Okay.
Well, it's fine. Well, it's out of the bag. You can edit and post. But So the location that I work at is not fully open, so the gym is empty, which is very nice for now. But I wanted to go check out the one up in Folsom because it's, I don't know, I think it's been there for like 10 years or whatever. But anyways,
Yeah,
I just wanted to go check it out and see how it's gonna look at my location later, and just to go work out. But there's 1,000 people that go to this gym, and large crowds already are not my thing, and especially not while working out. It's definitely not my thing. So it took a lot of gumption for me to even
gumption.
Matter of fact, I tried to leave the house multiple times and then was like, no, I'm not going to do it.
Because you were expecting a big crowd, or are you just lazy?
Yeah, because there's just always people there, and I get fucking anxious about it. And it's weird because I'm not anxious about people watching me work out, I guess. I don't know.
I know what your problem is. You find yourself in situations you don't want to be in.
Yeah, that
like
too.
T-Mobile, like the T-Mobile story. You know someone's going to come at you about a machine, and you're not going to be able to keep it together.
No, it's not. Listen, it's not that kind of place. But it's also just like, it's the anxiety of, is the machine that I want to work on, is it going to be filled? Do I have to wait?
Right.
Like that type of shit, which is always awkward. Anyways, so I pull up and I park, and I'm waiting in my car for a minute, listening to a podcast, and I go to get out of my car, and as I'm opening my door, a McLaren pulls in.
Yes,
directly.
Just your run-of-the-mill McLaren.
A $1,000 bright orange McLaren pulls in next to me, and I was just like, fuck me. And so anyways, I walk in, dude, and this place is like fucking Disneyland. It's crazy, dude. They have
massive.
A salon, they have a spa, they have a cafe. You have to go upstairs to get to even the actual weight room, which is all just on one floor upstairs. But yeah, dude, it was massive. But no, I didn't have an incident. I didn't have any troubles. But the thing is, I went at like noon because I was like, that's probably the best time to go. Not early, not too early, not too late. But there was still enough people there where you just kind of got to pick a machine that's open. You know what I mean? You can't really go in there. You can go in there with a game plan of what you want to do, but you gotta work around everybody else, which sucks. So
that's just what gyms are.
Yeah. But I did it. I survived. Everything was fine, and then I went home. But yeah.
So what stinks this week?
Just the gym anxiety, and I've been trying to.
Can you explain that more? I'm not sure I understand what your anxiety is.
It's just, again, like being around that many people working out, not being able to get to a machine you want, and then it's like, people like I feel like if I walk up to a machine that I want to use and someone's watching me walk up to that machine and it's not available, and then they watch me awkwardly have to walk away and figure out what I'm gonna do next, like that's what I think is occurring in my brain. Then it's just like I'm George Costanza in there.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
You have that, whatever try to tell Jamie this too, the ego on you to think that people give a crap about you is so funny, because when they do studies on this, and I've always told Jamie, it's like, no one cares about you.
I know.
But then she's like, that's not true, because I'm watching everybody else and judging them. And I'm like, okay, but
yeah,
they've done studies on this.
And I definitely, I know that. And that's why it's really not a problem with me at all. But it's not a 24-hour fitness. So, you just don't want to look stupid, I guess. That's all I'm saying.
No, I actually, at some level, so I'll give you, I can understand. I can relate to this.
And because it's just that crowd where I could see where they're looking at me and they're like, he's not doing that right. And you're just like, fuck you, man. Just let me do my workout.
Totally. No, I can relate to it, and similar. So here would be an example of anytime you find yourself in a place where you want to put your best foot forward, and there's a variety of reasons why this would be. Like, it's someone you've never met before. And I'll give you a classic example. I play a lot of golf, as been well documented on this program. And when you play golf with someone who you've never played golf with, you have a lot of thoughts, like, what kind of clubs are in their bag? What kind of balls do they buy? Do they buy Titleist Pro V1s, which are $60 balls, which is a joke? This is like the high end ball that you have to play with the Pro V1. Like, it's like a golf thing, right? I think it's ridiculous, but that's, you start thinking about those things. But then you go, all right, let me do my pre-game routine for golf is, all right, I got to hit some balls. Then I got to go practice my chipping and putting. And because you want to make sure that, when you end up playing with this person, that you are at your best, and you don't look like a moron, like you get on hole one and you've never played with them before, and all you can do is just like, please just make contact with the ball, because I don't want to whiff right in front of this person who's never seen me play.
Right.
And so how I can relate to what you're talking about is I'm thinking all these things, and then what happens is I start to just do this happened today, where I got like a couple of balls out of my bag to go to, and then I dropped the ball, and it's like skedaddling down the road. And I'm running around like a circus act trying to pick it up.
That's
and then
what
I
I'm
kick
saying.
it with my foot, and then it goes further, and now I'm picking it, and then I drop my putter, and like this whole thing happens all because I'm in my head. So I totally get it.
Yeah. It's like, what if I drop a dumbbell or like,
right.
Yeah. It's just stupid anxiety like that, which I know is irrational, obviously, but
You're human in your own way.
yeah, it's just one of those places you walk in, you can almost sense like people are like, I don't know this guy. I haven't seen this guy. I haven't seen this guy.
Higher end places,
it wasn't like that at all. It's just it wasn't like that at all. But also, I will say the machines were kind of all over the place, and that was the other thing too. Is like I was trying to look around for things, and that's also awkward too, because you look like
you've never been there.
Well, and also people are just like, why are you fucking staring at everybody? Because I'm looking at, you know what I mean? So that was also weird.
Well, you think that, but in reality, all they know is that you are new and you don't know where shit is.
Yeah,
that's what they're saying.
There was also 300 people there.
Right. No one's actually watching you at all, as we stated at the top.
Yeah.
I get it. I totally get it.
I just thought it was funny.
All right. Well, before we wrap it up here, I'll get off before you leave after we are done recording. I got to talk to you about your upcoming schedule, because I know there's some changes coming your way. But Jamie, my wife, is absolutely unequivocally not going to take no for an answer. We will at some point be seeing Working Man, because we will see every Jason Statham movie that comes out. So
is that
you
next
can either
week?
join us, or it comes out Friday. So.
Oh, all right. So are we going to see it next Tuesday?
We'll talk offline, but
okay.
If that's the movie, if you're down to see it, we'll make that happen. But so that might be our teaser for the next episode. And the whole theme of that movie can just be why these movies continue to be made, and why we will see every one of them. We'll let you know if it's just same old, or if there's a new and fresh take on a Jason Statham classic, which, spoiler, no, there isn't.
There will not be. We will be left wondering. Oh, we're gonna be we're not gonna be left wondering. We're gonna go in there, and it's gonna be awesome, and then we're gonna be
it's gonna be great.
We'll be back here in 2 more years.
You're not gonna see Jason Statham doing a Cockney accent. That's book it. He's not doing that.
He's not even British. He's not British anymore.
No, he's absolutely not.
He completely transitioned to working class, blue collar, Detroit American.
He flips so much that Guy Ritchie won't put him in his movies anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're the cross-pollinated baby. I don't even know where you fit.
Wrath of Man was the last one.
That's it. He went out on top. He's like, that's it, man. You've crossed the threshold.
That's fucking awesome.
You're a full-fledged American. It's probably right around the time you did Fast and Furious, and that was a wrap.
Yeah, shit. All right. Well, I got to get to Severance, so let's wrap it up, unfortunately. But guys, thanks for the support as always, and we will see you next week. You got anything?
Absolutely. Don't forget to follow us again. Go to thescreengods.com, our YouTube channel at Screen Guys, and on X at The Screen Guys, the Mostly Movies podcast with Nick and Christian on Spotify, on Apple Pods. All right?
All right. Later.
Good to see you guys. Later.